You're now listening to the Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida
and Manny.
Worcester's on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
You can watch us on Facebook Live at Unity Radio MA or stream us at WTY.org.
That was a nice intro from the both of us.
Yeah, we did a great job.
We did.
Yeah.
How are you?
No, I was going to ask you, how are you? Because you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm settling. I'll be good. We're going to have a great interview.
It's so good to see you.
Just, I guess, being real, I barely made it. My car broke down on me on my way here. Had to get it towed. Anyways,
but
life
goes
on.
We're here, nonetheless. We made it.
I was able to borrow a car at the last minute and make it here. And I was even able to take a picture of the license plate and put it in the passport app on the way here, because I was like, I don't even know the license plate and it's not saved on my app. I'm like multitasking, but I'm here. I'm excited to be here with you and our special guest for today. How are things going with you?
Really good, actually. Got a lot going on. Can I really say what's going on with me?
Yeah.
I'm so honored, humbled, and privileged to have an amazing opportunity. I think Ernie Floyd would actually be very happy about this. I know he is because I told him. But I am going to be the new on-field MC for Holy Cross home football games. How exciting is that?
That is super exciting. Yeah. I'm super excited for you.
We just keep rising over here.
Yep.
Rising and thriving.
Well deserved. Yes.
Thank you.
Love that.
I did that on purpose.
Yes. I love it. No, I'm so
Sorry,
proud
I'm
of
in my
you.
phone, but I'm really just trying to share the live in case you guys out there are wondering, why is he on his phone?
It's all right. I'm really proud of you. I've seen you from the start, or somewhat the start, right, of it all. And to be able to see how long you've been growing, and every year you're growing and evolving. And here we are. Now we're doing this show together and the Journey with EforAll. And I'm super excited for us to continue to grow together separately and see where life takes us.
Yeah. And our journeys keep growing. And that's a beautiful thing. Every time we turn around, we got something new going on.
Yes.
And today we have something really exciting going on. And we're bringing back
Sarah Bertochi. I'm super excited to have you on our show.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you both. It's so great to be here today, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Manny, it's wonderful to see you. It feels like it's been forever. So those of you that don't know, Manny and I were actually in the same cohort together.
We were. It seems like I'm in everyone's cohort. I was only in one though.
It seems like you've been in multiple cohorts at this point.
I don't know. We just got lucky that way. All of my summer cohort members have been, not all, but quite a few have been on the show already.
That's fabulous.
And Sarah, so we spent a lot of time online because it was COVID.
Yeah, we were at the tail end of COVID and didn't really have an opportunity to meet each other really in person, except for one other time.
There was one event. My memory is not going to help me recall when exactly it was, but I know that EforAll does try its best to have some very special events for all of us cohort members to be able to come together and just spend a little bit of time outside of the rigmarole and the grind, right?
Yeah, we love celebrating. It's about taking a step back to really acknowledge how far you guys have come and to be able to celebrate the growth and bring you guys together to network and keep expanding and growing your network and keep making those connections. Manny, you're afraid of spiders?
I don't know if it's a fear or if it's just like I'd rather it not crawl on me.
Well, yeah, I guess I can see. Yeah, I think for me it would be both too. I would have been doing the same. So we do have events at least once a year where we bring you guys together to network. We enjoy when you guys are all together. Just really mingling, learning about the new cohort members, meeting the new mentors and meeting the new staff, because I'm pretty new to the team. I haven't quite been there 2 years yet. Almost. It'll be 2 years in November.
Well, see, I mean, you were, little do a lot of people know, you were in EforAll longer than that. You just weren't hired.
Right?
Because, there was a lot of social emotional support on my end. So you were always present. So when you say you're new to EforAll, it's so weird for me to hear it.
You as a part of the team, I guess, right? But I think emotionally I was already connected to the mission and to the people who supported EforAll, like you and Margie. And
Miguelina.
And Amy, Mosher Berry. Jose I met after, actually.
Really?
Yes.
You guys have such a chemistry. You think you've known each other longer.
It feels like we've known each other all our lives. Like we have such a great connection. Like he's family to me. Yeah.
And we're talking about our director, Jose.
Yeah.
I just want to
Jose
point
Castro,
that out.
executive director. Woo, woo.
That's pretty cool.
And coming back to why we're here, Sarah, I'm super excited because I've heard about your business, Handmade, and I know that I've seen you on social media. I've seen certain things, but I'm really excited. And one of the reasons I love this show is that as a newer member to the team, I haven't really get to really hear other entrepreneurs' journey and what their business is about, what inspired their business. And so that's why we're here. So why don't you tell us what your business, well, first of all, who's Sarah and what inspired your business?
That's a good
it is a funny story because, I have been a creative individual, I think, my entire life, but it was one of those things growing up that, you had to go to college, you had to have more of a professional career. So I did all the things, but then something kept calling me back to my creative side. And for years, I was an outside sales rep, and as an outlet for stress, I just started dabbling in screen printing, and that honestly kind of morphed into something way bigger than I ever would have anticipated. And the funny EforAll connection is that honestly, EforAll was never on my radar. I had no idea what a business accelerator program was. And coincidentally, I did a market in Worcester at Redemption Rock Brewing Company. Yeah. And Megalina approached my table, and this woman has so much energy. She just radiates warmth. She's super engaging. And she made a very quick little pitch about what EforAll is and left me her card. And honestly, I was like, okay, fine. It was great to meet you. I'll look it up. And I kind of forgot about it for maybe a month or so. And then was cleaning out some of my craft sew stuff and found her card. And I remembered like how much I enjoyed speaking with her. And so I went online and I called her, and she convinced me, just apply. What's the worst that can happen, really? So it gets a half hour of your time to fill out the application.
That's all it took you?
And
listen, my famous story is it took me like 4 hours to do that application.
I don't recall exactly, but I'm pretty sure she said it probably could only take you a half hour. But anyway, long story short, my business was accepted. And I was at first thrilled, but then scared to death because I'm like, I don't need. Oh, exactly.
What did I just get myself into?
I don't even think I know what a business accelerator is, but I knew that I was at the point in my artistic career that I wanted to do something else. And a lot of it was, for me, the best benefit, besides we had a fabulous cohort, was putting some structure to all the things that you inherently know. Like when you go into business for yourself, there are things you just kind of learn as you go along, and you're like, oh yeah, I know how to do some accounting, and I know how to do a little bit of marketing and blah, blah, blah. But it was literally like all over the place. So EforAll for me took all of these things and gave structure to it. And it's like, hey, this is how you do this, and this is what you need legally to start a business and that kind of thing. And so like Manny said, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? And it was a year-long program, which I knew signing up, but the reality hits. The first 12 weeks were super intense. Yeah. And but really great, loved it, had fabulous mentors. And during the February of our cohort, I actually signed a lease for my first retail space, which was a huge step. I was, again, scared to death because you kind of learn as you go. And it's been great. My storefront's in downtown Hudson, and it's a great little business community. My shop.
That's awesome.
I love it.
I want to get more into your storefront and how you got to that stage in your business. But before we go on our first break already, can you believe the time flies?
Already that long?
Yeah, it's already been.
Sorry, Oscar.
Before we go, I just want to bring it back to the beginning of your journey. And then we'll get more into that. And that is, when I met you in EforAll, I was like, why is this lady here? I don't understand. No, seriously. I understand why what you just said now, but when I first met you, it was like she got everything together. She has her product, her pitch, like it's all there. I don't understand why she's here. And I never asked you that because, I didn't want to come off as judgmental or rude. But I'm asking you now because this is what we do. Real quick, what was the most compelling reason for you to pick up from where you were and jump into the EforAll program?
That's a totally great question. So I had been doing fairs and markets for a number of years, and I already had an online presence. So I was kind of familiar with like the basics of how to run a business from that sense, but I'd never had a brick and mortar storefront. So for me, was a huge leap from, lugging my products all over New England every weekend because, there's low financial exposure in those sort of markets, and having an online store, what are you risking? Whatever it costs you to sign up for some platform to run your website. But signing a brick and mortar, a lease agreement, for a minimum of 3 years, I'm like, holy crap, that's a huge commitment. So for me, EforAll, even though Manny, as you said, I did have a business background. I was an outside sales rep forever before like doing this full time. Honestly, I didn't have enough self-confidence to kind of do it on my own.
Okay.
So EforAll for me was a validation of all of the principles and concepts that I'd kind of picked up on my own along the way. And EforAll kind of, again, helped put it into a more organized fashion for me. And 6 months into it, I'm like, you know what? I got this.
Yeah. And you did.
I could do it. Right.
You
but
did.
I don't honestly think that if it weren't for my EforAll experience, I would have eventually gotten there. Honestly, I just think I need a group such as our cohort to kind of cheer you on. It's really lonely starting a business by yourself. And there's nobody there to kind of tell you, yeah, this is a great path for you. Oh, no, you're verging off. Don't go there. Whatever.
Right. But you know what? We're going to jump into that and more on the other side of this break in just a moment. But for now, you're listening to the Journey with EforAll. Listen, you're rubbing off on me, man. The Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hey, this is Ricky Duran, and you're listening to Unity Radio on 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
Support for Unity Radio 97.9 FM is provided by United Way of Central Mass, aiming to improve the community and break the cycle of poverty, and the Woosocks Foundation, seeking to make dreams come true for families in areas of education, social justice, recreation, and conquering cancer. Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection.
At KivaCenters.org, we believe every story matters and healing starts with being heard. The Kiva Centers are here to explore the paths of mental health, recovery, and wholeness with you. Visit KivaCenters.org, a statewide leader in peer-led support and recovery services, from Worcester to Western Mass. More information is available at KIVACenters.org. Kiva is lighting the way forward.
Hey, what's up, Worcester? It is Jacqueline Carr, and I'm inviting you to be inspired with me each weekday morning starting at 5 a.m. with the Jacqueline Carr Show on Unity Radio. I'll get you going with the motivating words, special guests, and the absolute best inspirational music, and a few other surprises. But you got to tune in to Unity Radio every day at 5 a.m. to get your praise on. It's the Jacqueline Carr Show from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. right here on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection, and also streaming on WUTY.org.
Hi, this is Raymond Lopolito, the General Manager of the Worcester Smiles Football Club, and you're listening to Unity Radio, Worcester's Community Connection.
You're now listening to the Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection. We are so excited to be here with you guys today. I hope you guys have been enjoying the conversation we've been having with our guest for today, Sarah Bertochi from Handmade. And she was just talking about the entrepreneurial journey right before we went on our break, talking about how she had a business background. She had been in business. However, she came to the awareness how lonely entrepreneurship can be, and how, going through EforAll gave her the confidence to show up, to do the work, and to build a network that got you through to getting your storefront probably a little bit sooner than you would have.
Mortar.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it's in the name, right? Business accelerator. And then I imagine that, as you said, had you not gone through the program, getting that storefront brick and mortar may have taken a lot longer. That journey may have lasted a lot longer.
Absolutely. Yeah. EforAll gave my business journey, if you will, more structure, and it kind of put me on the path, and it accelerated my, getting into a brick and mortar. I think it was super helpful, just gaining that confidence. Also, my one of my mentors, Megan Donahue, at the time was the executive director of the of his real estate development for the city of Fitchburg. So she had somewhat of a background in terms of how to manage sign-in leases and kind of the things that you should look for. And she was kind enough at the time to kind of take me on a few kind of test tours of different spaces, even though I knew they probably weren't right for me. They were too far away or they were too big. It was just, let's just go kick the tires together. So you learn about the things that you know that you want, and the right questions to ask, and how to read a lease agreement. So for that, it was like invaluable for me.
I think that's one of the beautiful things that EforAll does for all of its entrepreneurs is it does provide mentors for everyone. And I don't know, can we talk a little bit about the system, like how that works?
Absolutely, because it's so important, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like, so every entrepreneur gets a mentor team, 2 mentors. When you guys were going through, it was 3 mentors, right?
We got lucky. We did get 3. Yes. We were spoiled.
So now it's 2 mentors per mentee. And it's an amazing opportunity for people in our community that want to give back to other people in the community and want to help support other members of our, entrepreneurial that are going through the entrepreneurship journey. And a lot of our mentors are either professionals or entrepreneurs themselves, or people who just love to hold space for other people to grow. Because at the end, that's what like a lot of the mentors do. They're a bouncing board. They're kind of like we like to call them like your executive team, your board members. Yeah. And you as the entrepreneur, you're the leader, and you get to bounce off ideas of your board members, right?
I didn't think of it like that's a good way to think of it.
It is.
It would have been a lot more fun if I realized I was the CEO of my own board during the EforAll.
Right.
That was great.
Yeah.
I like that analogy. Yeah. You know what I really liked about what EforAll did? I wonder what your experience was with this, is the way you match us with mentors. So we get like a 5-minute speed date with every mentor available.
Yes.
And kind of get to know each other. I mean, as good as you can in 5 minutes. Right. Which, how easy was that for you?
Yeah, well,
not easy at all.
It was not. I honestly, I found the entire experience a little intimidating because one, like the whole concept of speed dating or speed interviewing.
And wait, was speed dating successful people, by the way?
Exactly.
Like right? And you know what I mean? In their own fields. It's scary.
And you didn't necessarily know who you were going to get. So it's hard to have questions prepared kind of based on their experience to determine whether or not they would actually, quote unquote, be useful to your own journey. So I don't think, honestly, or that of my 3 mentors, any of them actually were the ones that I speed dated with. Yeah.
Wow.
See, and that's so interesting because, there is like an algorithmic setup where you don't choose our mentors. We don't choose our mentors.
It's done magically. When I started working
it's
at
so
EforAll,
weird because they really do match perfectly.
And you know what? It takes, because it's divine, is the divine energy is everywhere. There's a creator who oversees everything, and I believe it oversees part of that. And
I can see that.
The way that works is that our entrepreneurs, you guys have to put in your availability, and you have to rate each other, either a soft yes, a hard yes, soft yes, a hard no, or like a soft no, which is like a maybe. And
like,
so
I'll take it if it's all you got.
Yeah. So the way the app works is however you guys rate each other, and if your availability overlaps, then it connects the two of you. The only way it wouldn't connect the team is if two people rated each other like a no,
right?
You know, because usually that a hard no, it's we know each other. There's a conflict of interest. We may know them on a personal level. Right. And we tell people to like put a no, so you don't get to work with someone you're not going to feel comfortable working with, right? And so it's like magic every time. It creates the teams. It puts the people together to make sure that their availability overlaps, that you guys rated each other. Usually either a strong yes or a soft yes, and maybe we'll take that into consideration, but more the yeses. And so from that, it creates the team, and it always works. And I always say, like, even because I'm wrapping up my 4th cohort, every time members, a lot of people are usually very happy with what they get. And some people are like, well, that wasn't my first choice, but they either end up loving it or there's lessons for them to learn. I feel like the universe, whatever higher power we believe in, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And if something is showing up in your reality and it's not something that you were looking for, it showed up because there's a lesson there for you to learn so that you can grow. So I always tell my mentee, like, and our entrepreneurs who sometimes feel like they didn't get the team that they got, and they feel like maybe they might have been cheated a little bit, like, the system works and we have to show up and do our best. It is
surprising how accurate it, well, at least, you know, for my mentor team, I got very lucky. 2 of my mentors, I think, were fabulous matches, and my third, maybe not so much, but you know what, he contributed in his own way, and I'm very grateful for whatever time he was able to put in. And I think the speed dating thing was, to me, was kind of overwhelming. But then if I recall correctly, there was also an opportunity for each of the entrepreneurs to, as you say, go through and read all the bios for each of the volunteers there, and to then rate them in terms of whether or not they felt they were a good fit, and whether or not their background, there was good synergy between what they knew versus what you were trying to accomplish. So it is magical.
Yeah, it is. And speed dating, that was my first time doing speed dating ever, like, even like on virtually. I've never done it in person, which actually I'm thinking for fun, I should go just try to do this. I've been trying to consider it, but it works. And what's the one slang I feel like every entrepreneur comes out every time they leave a breakout room? What everyone's saying?
Not enough time.
Not enough time.
And it's literally that phrase.
Literally not enough time. Yeah, and our speed dating all happened over Zoom. So I'd imagine if they're doing speed dating now, it's in person. Wait. And that's probably a totally different experience, correct?
No, we haven't done it in person just because it's hard after we started doing virtually. We decided to keep that part of the process virtually, only because we have a little bit more control. It's kind of hard to when people are getting along and they're connecting and they're in person, you don't want to interject and interfere. And so with having it virtually, the breakout rooms just take everyone apart. Yeah, they just end and everybody comes back and they want more time.
You're mid-thought and all of a sudden it's like, oh, and there's the whole group again. It's like, oh, okay.
And it's funny, you know, as you were saying, it was overwhelming and maybe even stimulated some nervousness. We all feel that way going into it. But then, like you said, once we're in it, there's never enough time. We don't want to come out of it because we're just having such a good time connecting and networking with people who are like-minded individuals. It's a beautiful process. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think everyone loves it. Like, ends up being, it's a little bit intimidating because you're meeting so many people at once and talking to a lot of people. But I feel like, and people end up having fun because you get to meet different people and network and learn about other people and what they're doing. And it's such a great experience. I feel like such a unique experience.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's also really cool when you realize. And I mean, I don't know how you felt about this, but I mean, I know you make crafts, right? Handbags, different knitted items. Is that
no,
right?
not
I always
knitted.
get
So I
sewing.
I design my
It's all
own.
the same to me. Sewing, crochet, knitting. It's all the same.
Sewing, mostly
Sewing,
sewing. I screen print all the fabrics that I use on my bags that I sew myself are original pattern design that I hand screen print and then cut and sew the bag. So literally, I mean, so say it's a handmade bag. It's literally down from the fabric is original to cutting and sewing it, and then eventually it lands in the shop and I sell it, hopefully.
Well, and when you think about the actual business and selling the products, the last thing you think you would need would be a real estate developer or a real estate agent, unless of course you're looking for a brick and mortar, which I get that.
So that honestly to me,
but for the whole program, how much more could she help you than getting you a storefront?
Because she herself had a business background. So in addition to just understanding the whole, how to read a lease agreement and what you need to know in terms of looking for space, she has great business acumen, so to speak. She gets it. So as another small business owner, it's like, oh, I could pick her brain about, well, what about hiring? And, what do you do for that? And legally, what do I need to kind of protect myself and those kind of things? So she was.
And that all plays hugely into our budget, right? Because we have to be able to plan and budget and be able to pay for that brick and mortar storefront. So, but with that being said, what can you believe it? Sarah's just making the time fly. We're having too much fun with her.
And I can't wait till we come back so that we can actually hear more about what it is that you're doing so people can go buy from you.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm so excited. And but for now, you're now listening to the Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio, 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
Unity Radio. Just kicking around. We discovered a love that had never been found. Worcester, we've got you.
Hello, my name is Diane Langford James, and I am a proud member of a community initiative, and it is celebrating pillars in our community. With great pride and deep gratitude, we are honored to launch a heartfelt tribute to two exceptional leaders, CEO Debbie Hall of the YWCA and President and CEO David Connell of the YMCA, both of Central Massachusetts. This is a Black Excellence celebration because their unwavering dedication, visionary leadership, and tireless commitment have profoundly impacted our community. So join us on October the 3rd from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the AC Hotel downtown Worcester as we come together to celebrate and honor their extraordinary contributions. Let's show them our deepest appreciation and demonstrate our coming together as a community and surround them with the recognition they deserve. We are honoring the legacy and celebrating the excellence. You can find flyers for tickets at the YMCA and the YWCA in Worcester, and also on Eventbrite honoring Black excellence. Again, join us on October the 3rd, 2025 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the AC Hotel in Worcester downtown. Looking forward to seeing you all there.
This is Unity Radio 97.9 Worcester.
You're now listening to the Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection. You can watch us on Facebook Live at Unity Radio MA or stream us at WUTY.org. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're here having an amazing conversation with Sarah Bertochi from Handmade. And talking about really the last 2 episodes and segments, we've been talking about your experience with EforAll, how the process was for you, how it helped you build the confidence to, do the work that you were already doing, and also provided that safe space with other cohort members and mentors and people from our community for you to grow. So thank you for sharing all of that. But
you're so welcome.
I'm really excited to hear about your business,
me,
because I'm sure
your
people
journey,
yes,
from the very beginning,
yes.
from when you were a little girl and you weren't sure what you were going to do, and then one day you just started making handbags. How did that happen?
Yeah, actually, it was never really part of any grand plan. It was kind of this accidental journey.
I mean, you didn't go to bed at night when you were like 9 years old, wishing that you would get
making handbags and everything
spinning
else.
wheel, lots of fabric for Christmas.
No. Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, it was an outside sales rep for 28 years. Had a super stressful job.
I'm sorry,
and
I've never done it, but it sounds.
Learning to screen print was just a creative outlet, and I started making screen printing fabric just for my own purposes. Made a tote bag, got some responses from friends like, hey, can you make me one? That's really cool. So that, started to make some for just friends and family. And then someone said, oh, we should do a crafts fair. And so I did a few fairs and found some success there. And then
how did you make the leap from family and friends to craft fair? Because I think there's a lot of people out there who may be in similar boat as you. They've realized they're good at something, and they're like, oh, this is easy for me. I might be able to make a couple dollars. How do you go from family and friends to doing it?
It was just,
somewhat professionally.
Doing a few Google searches. I thought, let's just start with like a local community fair, like a church fair. I did a fair. I think my very first one was in Framingham and was sponsored by the Metro West Humane Society. I'm a big lover of dogs and cats. And I thought, why not, right? I could give back. Your entrance fee pays to help support them and feed them. And I thought, you know what? I'll just get my table. I borrowed like one of those easy pitch up tents, from family member at some point, and set up my table. I look back at my first setup and it was horrible, but I didn't know what I was doing. So it was kind of like, let's just see what happens. You know what? And I had a blast. Even though I don't think I really sold very much my first outing, I was super excited to do it. It just, to me, it felt like something really fun. It didn't feel like work. It kind of got me outside of my head in terms of, because everything I had been doing up to that point was very business related, very dry, black and white kind of selling, and this was something for me. It felt like it was really fun. So, did the first one and thought, hey, you know what? It's kind of fun. Maybe I'll sign up, do a few more. And I don't think I did a whole bunch of them that first year. I was really just dabbling. It was kind of like, what can I find? That wasn't too far away, that didn't cost an arm and leg to kind of participate in. But as I did them, I realized, people were kind of responding to some of my creations. And for me, that kind of a light bulb moment, like, maybe this is something people want to see more of. And I was at the point in my career, I had been doing it for so long that, I just can't see the forest for the trees. And it was one of those, I needed to do something else. And having been an outside sales rep for that long, I felt it kind of defined me as an adult. Like that's kind of all I knew how to do. But that's not really true. I mean, I think when you get too comfortable in something, and I don't know, I just kind of lost my energy for it. And I probably should have left that particular field 5 years before I actually did finally take the leap and said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, do you know if there was something that you could have saw 5 years earlier? Like maybe, you know what I mean? I don't want to stay stuck in whatever I'm doing for 5 more years. Maybe I can learn something from you right now to make sure I look for these red flags. Were there any of those that were glaring that you ignored?
Well, one of the things for me was that I was very fortunate. I had a really successful sales career, honestly, and I don't suggest to anybody you just up and quit your job because you want to take your side gig and help pay your bills. Don't do that. again, I had a pretty good sized nest egg. My husband, who's 10 years older than I am, had retired, and I'm there. You take me with you. And like, he knew that I really wasn't very happy in my job. And he's like, Sarah, like, what's the worst that can happen? He's like, just give it a try, So, it literally took me 5 years of talking myself into it, because I was afraid of what if I don't make it.
Right.
And even deeper than that, you had your whole identity built around doing that job. Right. And I feel like we build identity around the things we're around, and we get attached to those things. And a lot of the work, it's not even the fear. It comes from, who am I if I let this go? Because this has been such a comfort zone for me for so long.
Hit the nail on the head. Totally. I was an outside sales rep, and that's how I defined myself. And I couldn't look past these blinders that. Hey, actually, I probably have some other talents I should be exploring.
Well, and isn't there something to the fact that you have like security with this job, right? Like, you don't know if your handbags are going to be able to pay your bills, but what you're doing right now is paying your bills, and that can all be really, really scary.
Of course,
But having a great support system, I believe, is real key to be able to follow your dream.
Exactly.
Dreams.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I was very fortunate to be in a good spot. I had tons of support from my husband and the rest of my family. And it was a leap of faith, and I never looked back. It was kind of weird, because when I actually gave my notice, I was like, all of a sudden, like, the sun was shining, this big weight lifted, and I was like, oh my God, it was such a relief, way more so than I kind of anticipated. It was just,
that's when you're on the right path. Right? When you feel freedom, right? Letting go of something, and you feel that freedom, as opposed to feeling like that weight of, oh my God, what am I missing out? Right? It's like, wow, I feel free now to be able, and that energy liberates you and allows you to fully show up to be a creative, because that's what you are. You're a creative. You're creating with your business. Yeah. And indulging your inner child to have fun. And wow, what a difference. So how was that shift for you? Like, when you did that shift completely, how did it change everything else that was going on in your life? Because I truly believe how we do anything is how we do everything. And having that freedom to be able to create, how did it open up other spaces in your life?
Well, you've probably all experienced it at one point. You look at a blank piece of paper, and it's kind of like, now what do I do?
Yes.
So you finally get there, you take the big step, and then it's on you. So that's another whole thing that you have to learn how to manage. So of course, what I did at first, I started a new business, and it was called Chapter 2. It was a graphic design service company. And I, provided graphic design, designing logos, and did some small marketing. This is probably the first 6 months after I officially retired from my sales job. And I hated every second of it. And the reason was it felt too much like work, because what I did was I leaned back on the things that I was comfortable with. And those are things that I had learned in my sales job. So to me, it felt like I'm just doing the same sort of thing, but now I'm doing it as opposed to doing it for somebody else. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, that I didn't retire just to be miserable again in my own job.
Right.
What a beautiful awareness. It only took you 6 months, right, to become so fully aware of that. And
this is not what I had planned in my head, but it's just kind of, again, I was just kind of plugging along, and that's just kind of what felt comfortable. So I think after I realized that, I took a few classes online on how to improve my screen printing. And I don't know, I just randomly signed up for more fairs and markets, and started to really fall in love with the community of artists that I met at all these different venues. And, it's a lot of work, and kudos to all my artist friends who are still doing it. God love you guys. It's a lot. I mean, not only get your you're working all the time making product, but then your weekends are gone, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
And, if you're lucky, you're close by. I was doing shows all over between New York State and Maine, and I'm driving like 3.5 hours. And then sometimes I would drive back home the same day. So, I remember doing a show in New York, in Kingston, New York. So Kingston, New York, it's 3.5 hours to get there. Did a whole show, whatever. And that one I happened to stay overnight because I was just like, I'm not driving back. But, it's a lot. But I thought, if you're going to build a business, you have to kind of do the work that nobody works. You have to do all the hard work.
That's exactly what a business
you really
is, doing
do.
all the work no one else wants to do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's all the brunt work. But with the hope in the end, it'll pay off.
And
yes.
And here's the thing, doing all the work that no one else wants to do is only allowing you to grow and go deeper with yourself. Because I feel like entrepreneurship is really it's a spiritual journey. You get to know yourself deeper. You get to connect to yourself deeper. You get to really learn to trust, to flow, and to really love and accept yourself and your craft. Because that's the only way you get to, do that with connect with others.
And the only way you're going to know whether or not it's a good fit for you is if you actually do it.
Right.
You got to figure it out. You can't have someone tell you, oh, that's going to work for you. And it's, you have to do it to figure out. So, I did with the craft fair circuit for probably 5 or 6 years. And I loved it until I didn't. I don't know. One day I just flipped a switch or something. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And the thing that I think was really driving that was the physical part of it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's
the
exhausting.
whole setup and breakdown. And it's like, I just want to show up, sell my stuff, and go home. I
Thank
don't want to
you.
deal with the whole tent and all the other stuff that comes along with all these craft fairs, which are amazing. I really do give them a lot of kudos because it's really not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
But with that being said, it's time. Not fully time. We got one more with you. I'm so excited. And y'all stick around. But for now, you're listening to The Journey with EforAll. You want to do this one? Go ahead. You do it.
I got you, Manny.
I'm struggling. Go ahead.
You're listening to The Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Telephone man, there's something wrong with my line. What's up, Worcester? I'm Angela Gray, and you're listening to Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection. When I dial my baby's number, I get a click every time.
Recreation Worcester is a free year-round program for youth run by the City of Worcester. The program enriches this city's youth in athletics, arts, academics, and social-emotional learning activities. Food is provided for free of charge for all youth participating in the program. Learn more at the Worcester Recreation website, www.worcesterma.gov/recreation-worcester. That's www.worcesterma.gov/recreation-worcester.
Activa la radio y Unity Radio 97.9 FM te invitan a escuchar el bloque latino todos los sábados de 7 de la mañana hasta la 1 de la tarde por los 97.9 FM en la ciudad de Worcester.
Hi, I'm Storm, and I'm a part of the Bruce Wells Scholars Upward Bound program. The Upward Bound program is a program that helps many promising low-income, first-generation, college-bound Worcester High School students. After joining this program, I've learned many different and important life skills while making new connections and getting real-world experiences through internships and classes. If you're interested in any of these opportunities, you can find more information at www.sevenhills.org or 617-866-1293. That's www.sevenhills.org or 617-866-1293. A brighter future begins with you.
You're listening to Unity 97.9 FM, WUTY. Let's talk, Worcester.
You're now listening to The Journey with EforAll, hosted by Armida and Manny on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's community connection.
Ooh, you're so good at that.
You can watch
my
us
bad,
on
go ahead.
Facebook Live at Unity Radio MA or stream us at WUTY.org. You want me to really start tripping on my words, right?
I thought we only did that in the beginning, so I thought I was interrupting at a great time. But yeah, you're really good at it. I'm struggling today, but thank you for picking up where I...
That's why we have each other, because when I'm struggling, you got my back, right? That's why
I love you, girl.
I love it. We're good at this.
Yeah,
we're great together. We're a great team.
All right.
So for the listeners who are just joining us, we are having an amazing conversation with Sarah Bertochi from Handmade.
She's so amazing.
I know. I hope
if you're just joining us, go listen to this from the beginning, because you will be missing out on some gems.
Yes. Sarah's been talking about her entrepreneurial journey, about her professional journey, and we left off talking about what really got her excited about working on what she's doing right now. So with that, we're going to just ask you, so tell us a little bit about what it is that you do in your business, in your shop. How does that work? What are you selling? Because people have been listening and they're probably like, I want to go check her out. Maybe I want to go buy something from her.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So 2 years ago, I opened my first brick and mortar. So I have a retail shop located in beautiful downtown Hudson, Massachusetts, which, by the way, was also voted the best main street in America.
Really?
So my shop supports not only my own work, but also the work of other local women-owned businesses. And to me, that was super important when I opened the shop, is what are the core things that kind of drive me as an entrepreneur? So obviously woman-owned, I'm a woman, local, if you can, please shop local. It's what kind of makes the wheel go round.
100%.
Yes.
And I love brands also that have a sustainability story, some sort of background to their story. So for my own, in terms of what I do, I'm an artist. I design original fabric patterns that I hand screen printed onto fabric, that I then cut and sew into a variety of handbags and home decor.
Are these original designs?
They are original designs. Yeah. So I start with a pencil sketch, and the pencil sketch is then transferred digitally to an iPad or some sort of other drawing Wacom tablet, some sort of other electronic device that I can kind of manipulate it into a repeating seamless pattern, which basically means that you can't tell where the pattern starts and ends if you were to do a huge roll of fabric, which I don't print fabric yardage. I print in panels because that works best for making handbags. I also print with water-based ink, which is eco-friendly and it's drain safe. So it allows me to do that at home, at my home studio. When I originally signed my lease, the intention was I would also do some live screen printing at the shop, just so the people kind of pull the curtain behind what that really means. They're oh, it's screen printed. It's a word they heard, but they really don't understand what that process involves. So I did do that once or twice, but quite frankly, my shop is really small and it was really very challenging to kind of get that to set up. So I since really don't do that. I tried to do more reels, which the whole reels Instagram thing is another nightmare for me, but that's a whole different segment. And I also like to use upcycled fabrics in the construction of my bags. Because again, I think it's really important that we all do our part to help the environment. And it doesn't have to be anything necessarily really complicated. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. I love Savers. I go to Savers every Tuesday because I actually get a senior discount now. Woohoo! And I will go and I will look for cotton fabric or linen fabrics that are in good shape, and I'll wash them and I cut those up and I use that fabric as the lining for all of the bags. So
every time you open a bag, you get a little surprise inside. You never know what you're going to see.
I love that.
Yeah, so on all the inside linings of all of our bags, those are all upcycled, repurposed, found fabrics. The outside is primarily fabrics that I have designed myself. So that's kind of what I do. And,
now, do you have any space for customization, being that you create them yourself?
Some. So in terms of the screen printing part of it, you actually have to create the screen. So there is, the involvement of having some equipment. But if you like a particular design, and you're like, you know what, I really would rather have that design printed in purple because purple's my favorite color. Yeah, which actually, speaking of, I did do that for Brie.
Yeah.
Treats was kind of getting my head rolling because
did you make her a tote bag?
I made her a bag in purple because she had because that's her color. How can you miss it, right?
Yeah.
So Brie had reached out. This is, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. I said, hey, I need kind of a tote bag, and I like this pattern, but you don't have anything in purple. And I'm like, I get printed in purple. So so I love to do one-off custom bags because for me, it's something that's out of the ordinary.
Right.
I do have a regular collection of bags that I regularly screen print, and a lot of those items are things that I also wholesale. So my products currently are sold in over 153 other brick and mortar locations. So they say a Sarah Bertochi bag.
Say that again?
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard you right. I think my mind might have been exaggerating on the number I just heard. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So in addition to selling my own creations in my own shop, I also wholesale my bags. So if you were to go to, some, not every shop, but like some shop in California, and you were looking for a Sarah Bertochi bag, you might be able to find one. It depends. On my website, I have a complete list of all our different like stockists.
Gianni Versace.
Oh, and it rhymes too. I like that.
You see that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was something that came about pretty much like after I opened the brick and mortar. I very quickly realized that, revenue streams are super important, and they're often very slow periods in retail.
Yeah.
And one way to kind of hedge those, downtimes financially is to try to have more than one revenue stream. So obviously I'm selling products at the shop itself.
That's actually a question I was really curious about, is when you do have a brick and mortar, like there's a lot of times there's not a lot of people buying things, right?
That is very true.
You're just sitting there looking at the walls like, I'm paying for this.
But
But
how that one of the key criteria for me when I opened the brick and mortar was to make sure I had a workspace in the shop, because I couldn't well afford to just sit there twiddling my thumbs during the 8 hours that the shop is actually open. Because honestly, a lot of the times it is really quiet. I mean, obviously on the weekends it's fine, but midweek not so much. So what do? I bring projects into the shop, and I have a sewing machine set up in the back where, the day before I cut up a bunch of fabric panels that needed to be. So I bring a stack of fabric in, and that's what I do. So for me, it makes more effective use of my time so that I'm not going home and then working another 8 hours trying to sew together bags, especially when you're doing wholesale. There's always the expectation that if you get a wholesale order, then that retailer expects you to ship their order within 3 weeks. That's my published lead time. I'm on a wholesale portal where other shops will find me and say, hey, I want 2 of these bags, and I want 10 of these eye pillows, and I want 5 of these, and I sew them up and ship them off to them.
That's so cool.
That's another way to bring in revenue.
I love that. And I love that you've obviously found a way to make it work, because you said you signed a 3-year lease and you're 2 years in. So you're more than halfway through that lease and you're making it work. And with that, I know it's almost time for us to wrap this up. So why don't you let people know where's your physical shop, your website, your social media, because we would love for people that are interested in finding out
I appreciate
about you.
that. So my shop is in downtown Hudson. It's Sarah Bertochi Handmade, and we are located at 63A Main Street in Hudson. You could also find me online at sarahbertochi.com or on Instagram at Sarah Bertochi.
That is beautiful. And I know we usually have I don't know, do we have time for one?
I think we have just one.
Just
we'll
one.
throw out
you
one.
can go. Pick.
All right. How do you practice self-care? That's one of my favorite things.
Funny you should mention that. So for self-care, I actually make a range of products, a little plug for myself, of self-care and wellness products.
I love how that worked out.
I make some lavender eye wraps and eye pillows. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
Well,
the front designs
what
are all
pillows?
hands. Yeah. So an
They
eye
sound
pillow.
great.
They are. So it's this great little package. I don't know how big it is, but it's big enough to kind of drape over your face. And it has lavender and flaxseed and rice. And you warm it in a microwave for up to like 20 or 30 seconds. And you just put it over your eyes. And the weight of it is very calming. And the lavender scent is fabulous. And
I must say,
I sell a
skin,
ton
my
of
dear.
those to different yoga studios and wellness ventures, whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
beautiful. I want
awesome.
an eye pillow. I'm gonna
You-
have to go. I'm gonna go
you
pick
guys
one
need
up.
it.
Yes. I need a Manny J Media eye pillow, Manny J Media tote bag.
There you go.
Yeah, all my branding all over it. Well, that's it. Can you believe it?
I cannot
Sarah,
believe
you
it.
was so much fun. Time
Yes.
really
well,
flew
thank you
by.
both so
Thank
very
you.
much. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's been a
It's
pleasure.
an absolute honor to have you. Thank you so much. And with that being said, until next time.
Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.
Thank you all. You're now listening. Oh, no. Well, it's over now. The Journey with EforAll on Unity Radio.
It's over for now.
97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.